Florida Republicans have passed a disgusting and I would argue completely unenforceable pronoun bill, as well as a ban on diversity programs. Now, I'm going to give you the details and I'll tell you why this doesn't make any sense. But if you zoom out just a little bit, remember, we've been talking about this Florida fiasco for months now. And aside from being completely morally bankrupt and substantively vapid, it also seems to be the wrong strategic approach politically for Florida Republicans to focus so much on Disney's bad and woke is bad and trans is bad, because they don't really have the voters on their side to a great degree with these issues. But okay, this is what they've decided to do. So what have they done? The Associated Press reports Florida Republicans pass bill on pronoun usage at school, ban on diversity programs. And you might be saying, have they banned a part of speech completely? No, they're talking about gender pronouns that differ from biological sex. And I'll tell you the exact wording in a moment. Florida Republicans on Wednesday approved bills to ban diversity programs in colleges and prevent students and teachers from being required to use pronouns that don't correspond to someone's sex, built on top priorities of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. The two proposals were given final passage by the Republican supermajorities. DeSantis is expected to sign it. Okay, so what does it do? The Senate Wednesday voted to expand the law critics call Don't Say Gay, a major calling card of DeSantis, with a sweeping bill that prevents school staffers or students from being required to refer to people by pronouns that don't correspond to the person's sex. It also bans classroom instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation up to the 8th grade, legally reinforcing the DeSantis move to prohibit such lessons in all grades. It also strengthens the system in which people can lodge challenges against school books, another desanctimonious initiative. All right, so there's a problem here, okay? And I know many of you already identify it. The only way to know whether you are using the pronouns that correspond to biological birth sex is to know what genitals someone has. How on earth would teachers ascertain that? And so when you say, well, you just can't force the teachers to use pronouns that don't correspond to the genitalia of the individual, and I guess they're saying the birth genitalia, right? This is another story when you talk about gender affirming surgery, but let's not even delve into that right now. You're saying you can't require them. Well, how is anyone to know whether what is being asked of them with regard to pronouns matches the genitals without taking a look at the genitals or what, requiring a birth certificate? So obviously this is a provision that's discriminatory to the trans community. It's harmful to the trans community. It's also completely impractical in every single way, because you're telling teachers, in order to know about whether the pronouns you're using are the right ones, you, I guess, have to ascertain biological sex by looking at people. Are they supposed to ask students for medical records before addressing them by the correct pronouns? So this is not only a ridiculous virtue signal against trans people for the anti-trans community to look and say, oh, we like what you're doing. It is a logistical and practical nightmare for educators, and it's not feasible to enforce. And of course, it goes against the very principles of inclusivity and acceptance that we should be promoting in our schools. This doesn't mean, by the way, or it doesn't even relate in any way to whether someone born biologically male who identifies as a woman should be allowed to be on the girls' wrestling team. That's a totally separate question. It has nothing to do with this. Now, I also briefly want to talk about the ban on diversity programs, because that's also a part of this, even though it's less cartoonish, although still destructive. It's equally concerning. Diversity programs are designed to promote inclusivity and to promote understanding among different cultures and communities. The right loves to say that those programs actually suppress speech, bully people, etc. To the extent that you give me an example of that, I am on your side and I will be against it. You all know, if you've been listening to this program for a while, that I don't go for that stuff. when the left goes too far, as the right loves to say, I'll just tell you, yeah, I don't agree with this. This is not in the spirit of progressivism. This is not in the spirit of libertarian progressivism of the style that I and so many other progressives support. Those instances are relatively rare. And when you say no diversity programs whatsoever, you're banning programs that actually provide significant value and they promote understanding among different groups in a way that is completely it's not only harmless, it's a positive thing. This is what Florida Republicans are now focused on. I believe that not only is it wrong morally, but it's also a strategic mistake in that they're overplaying their hand. That second part, it will take some time for us to get an answer. Are they overplaying their hand? We will soon see. But one of the next questions, which was raised by someone in our audience, is what follows this? And one possibility is that they go after LGBT teachers. I want to talk about that next. One of our sponsors is Shortform. Shortform makes the world's best guides to nonfiction books. And not only does Shortform summarize each nonfiction book itself into key points that you can cover in just a few minutes, they have all sorts of interactive exercises to help you apply the ideas to what you've read to retain more. The guide to each book also includes intellectual insights, comparing and contrasting the book to other prominent books about the same topic so that you can contextualize the book and understand the controversies and the disagreements. They also have books across every nonfiction genre, from economics and politics to science and health. I was recently checking out James Clear's Atomic Habits on Shortform. Of course, they have the guide, but they also have highlights. They also include other similar books about habits and developing a routine with differences and similarities. Super, super useful, and a lot more than just a summary of the book. There are new guides and articles released every week, and Shortform is giving my audience a free trial plus 25% off a subscription, which is a $50 value. So for the price of a book per month, you get access to thousands. Go to shortform.com/Pacman. The link is down below.